Hey, self-storage. Tommy here at Storage Pug. Welcome to this year's, no, what episode is this, Melissa? Wait,
Oh
Garrett, you'll know,
gosh.
you'll tell us. This is a
Yeah.
ridiculous number of episodes, but welcome to this Gabfocus. It's all about grassroots marketing. Melissa, how are things in Chattanooga today?
Well, for episode 57, as Garrett just informed us,
Shout out, Garrett.
everything is great here in Chattanooga. It is cold again, though. But it's okay. Spring's on its way. So, yeah, super excited about this particular topic today because I think it's really, really needed.
Yes,
And there's no
yes.
better time to start thinking about this than spring. So,
It
yeah,
really is. This
good
is
timing.
like good timing, but also like one of the best subject matter experts to talk about this. We speaking of the weather though, we imported a pug from Indiana, Chris Beta, who's one of our sales pugs here, and he says this is nothing when it comes to code. It's cold all the way through April up in Indiana. So
That's
um,
why I live in Chattanooga instead of Indiana.
Yes, exactly. 100%. Well, y'all, welcome to Shout Out Garrett, episode 57 of Gap Focus. I'm Tommy with Storage Bug. I'm super stoked about this. Right before we hit the record button, Melissa said that we can probably just sit back and watch and nod our heads. And we've got such a great speaker. But y'all, welcome to the Gap Focus stage. No intro really needed, but Stacie, welcome. So glad to have you.
Hey y'all. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me again. I enjoy
How,
it.
how are things down in Atlanta?
Cold. They're cold, like Chattanooga. Where I'm sitting right now, I'm in U Harley, Georgia. I'm only about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes from Chattanooga. So it's cold. I don't like it. I'm ready for it to be done. But my grandma used to say, and some people may know that the month of March, if it comes in like a lion, it goes out like a lamb. And we've had some severe weather and as we're approaching
Mm,
March, I think it's coming in like a lion, it's going to go out like a lamb. So transition from March to April is going to be beautiful. I'm calm.
okay, so the groundhog did or did not see its shadow is the
The groundhog was not scared by his shadow. If he sees it, it's okay. He's got to run away from it for that to be the truth there.
there you
So
go. I've never, 30 something years of life, I've never known really what the groundhog was about.
yeah.
I
Well,
get the
now,
I get the two confused, whether it's good to see the shadow or not,
Yes,
or yeah.
exactly.
So
well, it's
Yeah.
okay if he sees his shadow, but if it freaks him out and he runs back in his hole, that's when winter is going to
That's
be
when we have to
around a
be
lot longer.
concerned. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good to
And
know. Good to know.
down here in the South, we pay attention to General Beauregard Lee. We don't pay attention to Puxatawney Phil, up in the north. So Beauregard Lee is but both of them this year did not get afraid of their shadow. They
There.
were around. So
I love it. I
they
love it.
agreed this year. Yeah.
Well, so for the audience, in case there's someone in the audience who doesn't know who you are, Stacie, and what you do at Universal Storage Group, answer some questions. How long have you been in self-storage?
This is my 23rd year in
How long
self-storage.
have you been with USG?
23 years.
That's amazing.
Yes.
What do you all do at USG?
So we are a third-party management company. We do full service third-party management. We also do consulting, a la carte training, feasibility studies. We actually have the most thorough feasibility study in the industry. We'll die on that hill. We know we do the best job at it. So yeah, we do a little bit of everything. I mean, we can do as much or as little as you need us to do, but our jam is third-party management and taking great care of the properties that the owners entrust us with. And we have fabulous managers. Just 2 weeks ago, we concluded our company annual training, had all 120 managers in Atlanta for a great weekend, and it was just fabulous. We rolled out a bunch of new technology and tried getting back to the basics. The theme was back in the saddle, so it was kind of a Wild West theme. So it was great to show up. And Mandy, there's Mandy. Shout out to Mandy. She
What
said
up,
it was
Andy?
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we had a good time. I mean, we really did. It was a lot of fun.
I
So
love that y'all do that. I mean, orchestrating a 120 manager event, even
yeah.
virtually, is chaos, but to have them all in Atlanta is absolutely incredible. So,
well, and
uh,
as a company, you guys have to be doing something right because it seems like all the employees just stay like
They
forever.
do. They do.
So
Yeah, our corporate level employee average tenure, I think, is like 14 years, and the
incredible.
in the field tenure is approaching 6 years now. So, I mean, I mean, we love our people. Like
yeah,
without them, we wouldn't exist. So,
I
right.
love that.
It's
it's our job to
obvious.
take good care of
Yeah,
them.
it
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely comes through. So, how did you get into the marketing side of self storage?
Sue, thank you for that. Let's see. Well, I started out as a manager. I ran a store for 3 years. It was Grand Central Self Storage in Suwanee, Georgia, Gwinnett County over there, and it was a lot of fun. But we were in lease up, and so when I got there, they were only like 20% full, and within a year I pulled it up to like 85% full. And then I started running out of things to do because I mean, you're still going to do your audits, and you're going to do your auctions, and you're going to, all the basic operational stuff. But I started like the demand started to slow down, and I thought, I gotta do something here, because I need to figure this out. And Anne had always been teaching us to go do the visits, and so we were doing the visits, and started hosting more on-site events and really getting out there, and it just became a passion of mine. Now, my background is art education. I'm actually, or I was certified to teach K-12 art. So I went to school for, I could do all kinds of art stuff. I'm always creating things. Y'all know I crochet all the time, and like I just have to be creating, painting, doing something. So I had learned how to do some graphic design in school. Oh, Jessica, she's so funny. I learned how to do graphic design when I was in school also. And so I started doing a little bit more design, and saw what I could do. And she's like, she actually created an award for me called the Best Marketing Maven one year. When I came to the corporate office, I originally came to support, be like an assistant to David Dixon, vice president of development, because he needed some help. He was an area manager and VP of development at the time. And so I learned the kind of area manager tasks and all those things, but I was still doing marketing stuff and trying to help other stores do marketing. So I kind of like, and up until that point, it had really been a one-woman marketing department with Anne herself, just, all of this. And so I kind of started
Yeah.
helping spread out more of that, and kind of carved out and created a marketing department with us, and then just grew from there, So I'm passionate about it because I think that great design and good messaging is an art form. And so I appreciate it very much, but I also love people. And I want to make sure that when we are serving our customers, we're giving our best every single time. So being my background being art and teaching, I'm marketing and training now. So it just rolled into it. I don't
That's
know.
amazing.
I think I just got lucky. That's all. I just got lucky.
Luck is part of it, but you have to be in the right place to get lucky. And I think you've done a really a tremendous job, and I think you've taken the bulls by the horn. And it's kind of, right before we hit the record, we talked about Anne's farewell tour, and this is her year to retire and enjoy, enjoy the sunset with her lady. But I think um, I think it's a cool transition to see you and, I mean, Universal Storage Group, the managers are amazing. The leadership team's amazing. So really cool. And honestly, Melissa and I are honored to have you join our stage today.
Yep.
Well, thank you. Y'all are
Yeah,
very
we're super stoked to have you. Audience, in case you
blushing over
didn't
here.
know, Gabfocus is brought to you by our teams here in Knoxville and Chattanooga. Storage Pug, my crew here, and Lighthouse Storage Solutions. We do stuff, cool stuff. You can Google us and find out what we do. But
Yeah.
today is all about Stacie and Gabfocus. So let's talk about this real quick. If it was your first show, welcome. You chose a really good one to join us. But we're gonna, Melissa and I will take turns asking questions, and Stacie will provide expert level answers. And not only is it expert level, these are things that Stacie has done herself with her own hands, and things that Stacie has taught and currently teaches the 120 managers that she talks about. These are things that their stores do and are trained to do, and I think are pretty darn awesome at it. So when Melissa and I were chatting about grassroots marketing, we had no other names. Like Stacie Maxwell is the only name.
Oh,
that was very easy.
It was a slam dunk. As long as we can make the scheduling work, we're doing it.
Love it.
And it's Leap Day. So I think Stacie, you suggested Leap into Marketing as the other alternative name for this
exactly
session.
right.
So I got to call that out there. But today's agenda, we're gonna, let's talk about the state of the self-storage marketing. Like, where are we now? Things have, you had the massive gold rush era of 2020 through 2022. We're on the backside of that. What does that look like? Deep dive in various grassroots tactics, mixing in grassroots with digital. And of course, we're going to be able to answer your live questions using the Q&A tool down below as well. So Melissa, let's kick us off. Let's dive right into the state of marketing in self-storage today.
Yes. All right, Stacie. So question number one, how important is marketing in 2024 compared to the last 2 or 3 years?
So I was just trying to see if I had this graph. So it's incredibly important that we generate our own traffic right now, because if you can pull it up through Google Analytics, and I forget the name of the tool. Tommy, probably know exactly what it is, but you can pull up a graph that shows self-storage search demand, and it shows it in an arc timeline year over year. And I wish I had that to share.
It's trends.google.com, and I have it open. It's a book. It's a tab that I bookmark. So
Okay. Okay. So
I'll share it for you.
Yeah. So if you look at the self-storage search demand online right now, if you look at it over the last 5 years, you'll see that it kind of was up, pretty high. Let's see, is it going to show the multiple line chart? Okay. Well, there's a different way of looking at it where it's got a separate colored line for each year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it, and you can kind of see it here. So in 2019, demand was up, and right there, that's the peak of COVID right there. If anybody who came into this business during COVID, you are lucky ducks. And I'm telling you right now, you better hold on to your seat, because it's going to get hard. It's going to get really hard, because we were forced as an entire population of humans on this planet to find alternate places for the things in our homes so that we could carve out learning space and business space in our homes. So there was a huge spike in demand for self-storage, but we're seeing now the decline of that interest. And also, with inflation rising as much as it is, these arbitrary expenses like self-storage, well, maybe I can find space for that at my home, or maybe I don't need to hold on to grandma's bedroom suit. Maybe I need to get rid of the storage. People don't have that discretionary spending money anymore. So we're seeing move outs for that reason as well. So you have got to start generating your own traffic. Marketing is more important now than ever. You cannot just put it all online and people show up, because you know what? They're not searching online anymore. The demand is down. So you've got to get out there and generate your traffic.
No, I think you answered our second question that was submitted, which is, why do we care about this? Why should owners and managers revisit all this? And you touched on it. I mean, some of it, our consumers, right? The tenants, the people who pay for their units, they don't have as much discretionary income. They're having to squeeze a little bit as part of it. Supply is up, right? All the people who paused their developments unpaused it in 2023. There are so many new facilities that came on the market. And Radius Plus, which is another great platform, by the way, it's a great resource. They, I think, published a report recently that there are actually more facilities under development that were not previously reported because they were on pause. So supply is only going to be a bigger problem, right? So I think all the things that you just touched on.
Very saturated in a lot of markets.
Yeah. So let's specifically focus on grassroots for just a moment, right? So how can grassroots marketing or local marketing, or all the different terminologies here, how can that help set small business owners, independents, ones and twosies, and even the ones who own 10 to 20 facilities? How can it help set those people apart from the REITs or some of the large national competitors?
So we've been having this discussion for a little bit, last several leadership team meetings at Universal. We are worried about the state of consumers' opinion of the industry right now, because there's been a lot of kind of predatory practices by the big players, the REITs, who, and forgive me if any REITs are on board today, you've done a great job for this industry, but you're going to kill us, because what they're doing is they're bottoming out their rates. They get the people in the door, and then within 6 months, they raise their rent 50%, 100% even. We've seen so many horrible cases of people getting their rent raised incredibly high in a few months. And that's kind of a predatory practice. And I think the best way for all of us now, the smaller operators, to differentiate ourselves is to employ things like, well, I am locally owned. I'm not, the big guys. I am, we're not going to raise we give you a one rent increase guarantee per year, one a year, because we've seen where they've done, 3 times in a year, they're raising rates. And,
Yeah.
we were able to luxuriate in that during COVID because the demand was so high, but that demand's fallen off. And you can't do that anymore. So, yeah, and Tommy just shared an article about the rent control in Georgia. There's a bill up now to control rent and a few more things other than rent too, like the ways that you can contact tenants and things. I mean, we're going to get ourselves in trouble as an industry if we don't pump the brakes on this rent issue. But I think smaller operators definitely need to make sure that your community knows you're there for them. You're not there to just make money. You're there to support them and become a community resource. And you're there to help more than hurt. So I think that's the best thing we can do right now.
Well, and to be clear, the legislation that you guys mentioned, just for the audience, if they aren't aware of it, it is specifically about those tactics where it's not the introductory rate that's good for 3 months that then, that's clearly communicated, 50% off your first 3 months rent, and then it goes to X amount. We're talking about they move people in at a particular rate and then 3 months later double it, or
give a rent increase.
Yeah. So the legislation would not stop the ability to still have those introductory rates. It would, because those are clearly communicated endpoints where it's going to increase. So
as long as it is communicated.
It's
right.
about transparency and pricing.
Right. Exactly. Honestly, I thought it was really, it's common sense business. The legislation's not really bad. It's all the other stuff they added in it. But anyway, that's a whole different.
That was our take, right? And I think, like, to Stacie, to your point specifically about we know what the bigger groups are doing, right? They're very aggressive revenue management. They're doing maybe some, I don't say shiesty stuff, but they're doing some stuff that I think is causing a little blemish in the public's eye on our industry, right? And that happens, and that's, for on one hand, it's fine, it's business, it is what it is. On the other hand, it's like, well, let's pause for a second, right? So our take on all of this was, nothing that, from the rent control side of it, nothing was outrageous in the bill that was introduced. It's like, this is how you should probably treat your customers anyways. Like maybe you shouldn't raise your rates more than 50% in a given time period, right?
Yeah, that might be nice.
Right? Yeah. Like there are certain things about this that was our take anyways, right? But on the flip side, I think where this becomes a little bit more concerning, and I think, Melissa, is what you're touching on, is like, yes, some of the rent stuff is pretty reasonable, and maybe it's already how we should already conduct ourselves as business owners. But I think some of the other things that are now going to be regulated, of like how you advertise, how you communicate, what logs you have to track, all this extra burden on storage operators, that maybe many operators in this audience even aren't ready, or maybe aren't prepared, or don't have the capability or the resources to comply. Right. And that then has a trickle effect. But I guess this isn't about that bill. This isn't about rent control. I think the main takeaway, though, is there are things that we as smaller business owners can do that help us, set ourselves apart from the big REITs, and knowing that that's one tactic that they tend to take.
Yeah. So, and one way that we set ourselves apart from those REITs, like we said earlier, is the grassroots and the local marketing. So what specific, let's dig down deep. What specifics do you think you have kind of stumbled on or discovered over the years that are really, really successful in those markets to reach those people?
Yeah, as far as tactics.
Grassroots, local marketing kind of thing.
Sure. Well, number one, of course, visits to your local businesses, getting over there and shaking their hands, getting to know who they are, letting them know who you are, pushing your brand around, not just delivering paper. Paper gets thrown away. Don't just give them your business card. Give them something they can use, something that's going to stick around, something like a cup with your logo on it, something that will be out and they'll be reminded that you exist constantly. Offer a killer referral program, and don't make it just for your tenants, and don't make it expire when they move out. Any person, any day, anytime, we'll pay that referral fee, and no expiration date. We pay $50 minimum. Some of our stores even pay $100 now for referral fees, because the cost per lease has gone up over time. So, that's okay too. Definitely visiting the high value targets like your real estate agents, your apartment agents, the ones who are in the middle of people moving and storing, moving companies, the guys on the trucks, they're a great source for referrals. One of the things that we've always done that is very successful is on-site events at our stores, especially community-based ones that make it easy for people to have a good reason to come to your facility. Like we do photos with Santa Claus, photos with the Easter Bunny. We'll do trunk or treat. We'll do yard sales. But those first three that I mentioned, that makes it easy for parents to have a nice, safe place for their kids to come and enjoy the holiday, and trick or treating sometimes, and depending on the market, can be like the residential areas, it can be a little scary for parents sometimes nowadays. So having a nice trunk or treat at a facility where you've got cameras and lights and all the things, I mean, I'd take my kids there in a heartbeat, but that helps. Anytime you're having an on-site event, if you can involve some sort of community drive, like a charity drive, you could do like pet adoptions, you could do a canned food drive, you could do warm coat drives, blanket drives, Toys for Tots, any of these nice charitable drives you can have that gives you good brownie points as well. And of course, somebody mentioned earlier sponsorship of the Little League, and your like your banner on the fence at every ball field in the county. Do it. I mean that's a great way to and put on that banner that you pay for referrals. So people remember, earn $50, send somebody to us. You don't have to do business with me. Just send somebody else who does need storage. Because the truth about self-storage is, I say this all the time. You cannot put it on sale and people come running to rent self-storage. I mean, it's not the big 60-inch TV on Black Friday that you have 5 TVs at home, but that's a $200 60-inch and I'm buying it. It's not like that. Either you need storage or you don't. So you want to be the brand they think of when the time comes, when they need storage or when someone they know needs storage. So we've had good success visiting nail salons and hairdressers too, and leaving our information on those countertops, because you're sitting there with a captive audience for a long time, and if that hairdresser knows she's going to get a referral fee, extra $50 on top of this hairdo, why not send that referral?
Good idea.
Yeah.
So Danielle had a question. I think it's in the Q&A that we need to go ahead and ask.
I agree.
Yeah, we have 12 stores. How do you streamline your referral program? Do you do gift cards bought in advance? Do you cut a check? How do you do it? Let's make it simple.
Okay. So we do it both ways. Some of our stores go ahead and buy the gift card, and just be in recognition that when you buy the gift card, it's going to be a little bit higher than your $50. It's going to be $54.95 or whatever it costs to buy that gift card. So allocate that in your budget. The other way we do it is we do a check request. And the reason why we do a check request and we do the gift card on site, but either way, not the reason why, but most importantly, either way you do it, make sure that you're not mailing the check to the referral. Get them to your store, make them come pick it up in person so that you can get a picture of them holding their referral check or holding that gift card that they got for sending someone your way, which you can then use in your social media, your email marketing. You can put it on your website. I've got a store, Vigilant Self-Storage in Ironbridge. Tammy is the manager there, and she has a 4x6 photo printer. So she'll take a picture of all of her referrals. She'll print it out, and she's actually created a border around the top of her office with nothing but people smiling, holding checks, referral.
That's so cool.
And so people can look,
that's so cool.
People, who are all these folks? I know them, and she's like, yeah, you want to get your name on there? Send me somebody else, and get your photo up there. So it's just a great
shout out Tammy, man.
It's a very powerful message.
So awesome.
And prior to doing the border around the top, she also, you can create books at Shutterfly photo books. She created like a book every single year of all her referrals, and the books have gotten thicker, So I mean, these are powerful messages that we do what's called a brag book in part of our marketing, where you can, take pictures of your facility and go on Shutterfly. And if you sign up for their email marketing, you get like 40% off coupons all the time. So sign up for that, and then create a book. It starts with like a 20-page book, and just pop big pictures in, put a caption in about your facility. These are our loading docks. These are our nice clean drive aisles. These are our bollards. These are our security camera, like all the features of your property. Make a coffee table book to have on your counter. You could do the same thing with your referral awards as well. So, and it's very cheap. I just hit a button. It's very inexpensive to get those books. I mean, we're talking like $20 if you, especially if you sign up for the the list at Shutter, the email marketing list. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so Danielle just asked a follow-up question there. So like, what is your turnaround for check requests?
So for us, we've recently implemented a new billing system. It's called bill.com. And so it's much faster than it used to be. It used to be they would email in the check request and wait probably about 2 weeks for it to arrive. And then you would call the customer and they come pick it up. But now it's a lot faster than that. So I think it's down to like a week. It's just, a matter of
Wow,
the mail getting
that's
it
not
back to
bad.
us. So,
Love it.
yeah.
Jeffrey
That's
said that they do pictures of their referrals as well, and they put it on their big screen in their
yeah,
office. The same kind of
yes.
idea. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That
yeah.
is
And they have a nice office with a huge big screen
That's
right
nice.
there.
Yeah.
So
Most of our stores have what we call the digital Vanna White, and we call it the Vanna White because back in the day, you would have your rules and regs on a big sign, and you would Vanna White them to the people. Like, these are the rules and regs. These are, you don't have to read the whole list. Here's the high points. So you would Vanna White it to them. But now we have a digital slideshow that goes
yep.
on a big screen TV, and we put the referral rewards in there, and we can put the events in there, and you can make a slide for everything we do on the property, and it's just another way to hit them, with what all we do, the good that we do.
That's really cool. So I guess related to Danielle's question of like talk to me about feasibility for some of these things, right? Of like, because these are great tactics, right? Between the different community sponsor events, the flea markets and all these cool, amazing things. Like talk to me about the feasibility. So if I own one facility and I maybe have one manager or one manager plus a part-time person, like talk to us about how feasible these efforts actually are.
So it's going to take a little elbow grease, but what you start with is getting out there and marketing, doing visits to local businesses and let them know I'm planning a yard sale for the fall. And it would be really great if you could help me with this by sponsoring a door prize or giving me a human to come help it run the event on the day of. So if you are lacking in manpower, you can pull manpower by creating alliances in your area with these local businesses, which you should be doing anyway, because you should be referring people to them and they should be referring people back to you. So I would start there and then just have a good plan. Start, I saw Tanya giving me a human. I want to use this line now. I love that. Start planning your event. I mean, start planning 60 days in advance, or no, I'm sorry, 6 months in advance. If you're only doing 60 days in advance, that's way too short. I mean, you've got to start. And then at about the 60-day mark, you start the marketing of it by sending out a save the date to your community. You put it on your social media, you got flyers, you're passing it out every time you go visit, post it everywhere you can. And I saw a question in the side here as far as yard sales go. Are people just rolling up their units, or is it displayed in a specific area? Yes, both actually. So if you have a few units that are vacant on site, that's actually a good thing for a yard sale because you can rent those units just for the day. You can create a 1-day lease and have people sign up to be a seller at your yard sale, and they can rent a 5x10 or a 10x10 and use that as their booth to bring their stuff, and they can set it up the night before and roll the door up on the day of. Current tenants, of course, can organize their unit in a way that they can sell what they need to sell and keep what they don't. Contrary to popular belief, a yard sale does not create vacancy at your property. People do not ever sell everything that they want to sell. As a matter of fact, most of the vendors who are current tenants, they're walking around and buying more stuff from the other people who brought new stuff in. So, I mean, they don't move
That's
out.
all we do is we trade.
That's all we do. Transfer junk from one
Yeah.
unit
Yeah.
to the next. That's kind of
It
amazing.
absolutely drives traffic, Jeffrey. You're absolutely right. But
I never thought about it that way.
It's so funny, but it's true. We love our stuff. I mean, we really do love our
Wow.
stuff. But the point of having any type of on-site event, though, is to get people who are not familiar with self-storage offering and what you specifically have to offer, get them on your site. So when you're setting up an on-site event, we'll go back to the feasibility of it. Anytime you have any event, whether it's a yard sale or a grand opening or whatever it is, like Tommy, you came to our grand opening for Valley Storage, and I got to play with Vera there too. That was great. But we set it up in a way that when they arrive on site, in order to experience the event itself, they're going to have to go through and experience every bit of your offerings. So we set up food in one, drinks in units throughout the property and kind of a guided course so that they go through and they pass by the elevators, they pass by the loading dock, they pass by they get to see how the hallway lights pop on and the hallway, we block it off, but but their motion makes it pop on. So they go, oh, the lights pop on when I come through. All these little things about your property. You want every visitor to see and feel and experience what you have to offer so that they can speak intelligently when they refer you to other people, because you're not going to let anybody out the door without a goodie bag with a referral card in it. Let everybody know we'll pay you $50 or $100 or whatever you're paying.
I love that. So as for yard sales, do you let the tenants do yard sales whenever they want, or it's like one time a year, this is what we're going to do?
Yeah, one time a year. Some stores do a spring and a fall every year, and the tenants look forward to it, But yeah, it's not just kind of we don't really let people, like, you're always going to have somebody who's selling something on Facebook Marketplace and it's kept in their facility, and they'll do a meetup and come and look at it and sell their.
But on a random Saturday, they can't just open their unit door and sell out of it.
No.
I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, but another way I just thought of this too, or thinking about this, as far as the feasibility goes, when you're hosting a yard sale on site, one of the best places to advertise it is to join the Facebook yard sale groups in your area and post to those groups online. Sometimes they have a website or a blog attached to them. You can go post there. Post an ad in the paper. There's always, in the classified ads, that's kind of an old school way, but the yard sale people who go around actually go into yard sales all the time, they look at the paper.
It's a vibe. Those people are very serious.
Yeah,
wow. No, that's, and you touched on Facebook there for a little bit, and I think the question comes up often is like, well, how do we use Facebook for social media for our business? Like, that's a very specific way that actually could garner foot traffic to your facility. And that's kind of neat. But you said something, I want to make sure that we touch on it. And you said it in passing, and I think for you it's so obvious, but I think make sure the audience isn't, because it may not be so obvious, that all of your attendees walk away with a goodie bag.
Yes.
That's dope.
Absolutely.
I remember this. It happened very recently, but I remember the feeling of like the Valley Storage open house that I took my family to, and we took pictures and all this stuff. We all walked away with something. And like that's that's a unique kind of experience. Not every business thinks on that level. So yeah, so if y'all are doing things that attract strangers in the public to your facility, if they walk away with something, it doesn't have to be extravagant, right? Like talk to us about the kinds of things that might go in a goodie bag.
Sure. Yeah. So what we typically do is we order like a litter bag, just like a 12x9 plastic die cut handle bag with our logo and branding, contact information on the front, and the message, we pay you for your referrals. It goes on anything big enough to put that on there, that message is on it, right? And then inside the bag, they're going to have like a branded pen. They might have some candy. They're going to have referral cards. They may have a rack card or brochure, whatever we have there. Whatever kind of promotional items that the store has. If they have, sometimes we've gotten like little small frisbees or can koozies, or there's all kinds of stuff that you can order out there. But everybody gets that kind of goodie bag. In addition to our branded stuff that's in that goodie bag, if you have any businesses that are helping you, they can donate something to put in the bag too. So it kind of comes in local swag bag. A lot of restaurants, a great thing you could do is reach out to your local restaurants and say, hey, do you have any coupons that I can put in my swag bags for this event I'm having? And you'd be surprised how many coupon stacks you can come up with to put in those. We had a bunch of those at Valley as well.
You're playing chess while most of us are playing checkers. That's like, you just tied in, right?
These ideas.
You tied in Facebook to knocking on local doors, right? To the events. And then the goodie bag, like, literally just ties all of those tactics together into one tangible thing that a stranger walked away with. That's really cool.
And you're effectively networking for your entire community all at one time.
I would have thought that yard sales could be this topic, but I've got one follow-up. I'm going to combine a question and a comment to you about yard sales. One, how do you keep renters from having their own yard sales throughout the year whenever they want? Because you just allowed a yard sale. Or are there any liability issues for these on-site events? Should you contact your insurance company and say, hey, we're hosting an event, how should they cover themselves there?
Yeah, Gretchen and Jen, good questions on that.
Yeah, great question. So the first one, how do you keep your tenants from having a yard sale anytime you want? You have a good conversation with your tenant. If you see them doing it, you should go over there and talk to them. Hey, this is not, it's in our lease that this is not, you can't perform business out of this unit, and effectively having a yard sale every weekend, you're performing business. So, we need to have a talk. You need to stop doing that, or I'm going to have to ask you to leave, because it is a rent by the month thing, and you can kick them out anytime you want for breach of contract. So it should be in your lease that they should not be able to do business in the unit. Same as a auto mechanic shouldn't have people rolling up their cars and like being under the car with oil going everywhere. It's the same principle. You don't want them doing business in the unit. The second question about liability, you should always check your property insurance and make sure you have the right coverages. Definitely check with them first. All of our properties, when we take over a property for management, that's one of the first things we check. It's on our new store takeover checklist to make sure that the property insurance covers all the activities that we want to have throughout the year. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes if it doesn't generally cover it, you can have a rider that's just temporary for that particular event too. So it won't cost yeah.
Nice.
So definitely good questions to ask about that. So how can you identify what matters? Like yard sales aren't big in every community. But how do you know what matters in the communities that you're in? How do you figure that out?
You have to get out there. It's plain and simple. You have to get out and become involved in your community. You have to, you can go to the Chamber of Commerce. You can find out, if there are local little leagues, if there's a Girl Scout troop or a Boy Scout troop. I mean, you could just do a little groundwork. Go to the schools. You can find out a lot of information from the schools. What kind of clubs exist? What kind of sports are they playing? But you really just have to do your research. The Chamber of Commerce is probably the most important resource for anybody in their area. Now, when I was back in a store back in Swanee, Georgia, I was in Gwinnett County, which is one of the largest counties in the state of Georgia. Okay. The Gwinnett County Chamber of Commerce was ridiculously huge. It didn't work for me in little tiny Swanee. Now, Swanee's huge now, but we're talking 20 years ago.
Right.
Back then, me and a couple of other businesses got involved in a group called the Sewanee Business Alliance. And so we kind of effectively built a networking group ourselves, as opposed to having to go to the chamber, with thousands of membership. We had 30, 40 members, and I hosted at my site sometimes, and some it would be hosted somewhere different times, but that kind of gave me the idea that you can actually start your own networking group at your facility if you get involved with these businesses to go out doing your marketing and say, hey, I'm going to start a networking group. It's free to join. It won't cost you anything. Just show up every third Thursday, and I'll have breakfast. I'll have coffee and donuts. Let's share referrals, and grow. So.
And I think, I think it was Sue that made a comment earlier in the chat. Don't be discouraged if it doesn't work well the first time. Like it takes time to get that momentum going. So point. Oh, this is a place that does more than just storage. Like I can do cool events here. And as one business sees it, maybe your first event kind of flops, but maybe another business sees that and says, oh, wait a minute, I can do something there. Let me call Stacie and find out if I can use their facility for this event, so it's more about spreading the word to all of the businesses and trying to form those relationships. And sometimes I'm sure there's some trial and error involved. So but be patient.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do for your community. And we even have a store, Paulding Storage in Paulding County, Georgia, not too far from me. It's in Dallas, probably about 30 minutes from where I sit now. But that manager, James, he's fantastic with his community. He lets the local teams, like the Little League or the soccer team or whoever, they do car washes at his property. So, and he has a big old truck, and he puts a big banner on he has a pickup truck, and he built a kind of a stand that stands in the back of the truck, and he has banners on each side. He'll just go park it by the, by the road, car wash today. And people start coming in, and these kids raise money to go for, the travel ball team or whatever it is. Right. And the parents love it. And everyone who comes through thinks this is cool. Like this facility cares about our community. I'm storing here. I mean, that's the message. So, I mean, it just makes a big difference when you get involved. It really does. But to get started, you have to do your homework. You got to get out there. You got to find out who's in your community, and you can even start with people. I mean, most of us work where we live, and or nearby. So start talking to your friends, hey, what's important to you, and what groups do you know of that I can get involved with? Is there like a group at the church? Is there a little league? Is there different local charities? Like
Yeah.
here in Atlanta, we have a charity for pet rescue and adoptions called Mostly Mutts. I've done a lot of work with them before. But these are very hyper local things. You just have to get involved, have to find out.
Right.
I
Love
love
it.
that. Well, so I saw this. I think Tanya might have mentioned it in the comment section. If like, what if I have a remote facility or a facility where I don't have a manager, or maybe my manager is new to the area, or any of those scenarios where the human involved is not available, right? So how can you still participate in some of these activities or take advantage or still be part of your local community when you actually don't have a local presence?
Yeah, so not having a manager on site does make it quite a challenge. Uh, Jeffrey just popped in with automated outreach. That is where I was going. So you've got to start with your customer database, start an email marketing program, create your social media, and start pushing yourself out that way. Reach out to local businesses. You can email businesses. You can send them physical letters. Another thing you can do is, especially for the remote managed properties, you can do it's called EDDM. It's with the United States Postal Service. It's every door direct mail. And this is a program where you can send up to 5,000 pieces of mail per mailing on specified routes, and you can actually go in and choose the actual routes according to your zip code, and it drops the cost of postage to like 20 cents as opposed to 55 cents. So you're paying 20 cents for postage, and if you buy these postcards or whatever you're sending in bulk, they're going to be 50 cents or whatever, so 70 cents a pop to hit every single mailbox on the route. You can saturate your community with these messages. And when you're doing an actual mailing, it is a cost-effective way to get your brand out there to the entire public in your area. But you're going to need to prepare to do it, at least 2, maybe 3 times to really send the message home. You're sending the exact same message to them. But that's another way that you can do it as well.
Your Chamber of Commerce is also important, even if you're remote. I mean, you can still find out about business communications and things like that and still form those relationships, and attend those specific meetings that, they may have quarterly or something. So you can still have a presence. It may just not be, every week
on site. Yeah. And you're probably not going to be doing too many on-site events at a remotely managed property until you drum up enough awareness and enough people in your database to draw people to the site. I mean, you're going to have to make those connections first. But the chamber, can you put the postcard info here yeah, I'll type that in, Sue. But the chamber is a great source of just getting the contact list to get started. So you can just start those email blasts and start sending physical mailings. Like you may send targeted mailings to different types of businesses, like to the real estate agents, uncluttered homes sell faster. So have your clients declutter with us, and stage their home so that it looks better. Or, the apartment complexes, if you don't have if you want to rent smaller apartments with no closets, they can store with us, whatever the message is. So, Tommy put that in. Thank you, Tommy. So yeah, the EDDM program it's very cost effective and a great way to get started.
Is there a particular company you use for the postcards?
So yeah, there's actually, I do a lot with Vistaprint. Vistaprint actually has postcard sizing. You have to pay very close attention to the EDDM program because there's only certain postcard sizes that are allowed. But you can do, I use Vistaprint. There's another one called PS Print. There's one called Smart Press. Those are my 3 favorites that I like to use. But
Melissa, looks like you mentioned Postcard Mania is another one that you've used in the past.
Yep. I've used them before, easy to work with. So the kind of like a Vistaprint kind of feel. So yeah.
Postcard Mania, that's a good one. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so talk to us about this. So you mentioned earlier, right? So like people who rent storage are actually people who need storage, right? You can't just say, 60% off door busters and then people come in and, they get by that big 80-inch TV.
I'm gonna buy an empty room.
Yeah, so you're doing all of these things, you're doing all of this marketing, all this outreach, all this community building, and people, have experienced, like, I love that you mentioned that, like, they've been on step foot on your facility, they've experienced it, they know how bright, how well lit it is, how safe it might be. So like at the end of the day, how do you measure the success of these grassroots marketing tactics and campaigns?
That's a great question. So you're going to see it in a few ways. Number one, you're going to have more referrals coming in the door. If you're doing it right, you're going to see referrals being generated, which in turn is more leases. Your traffic is going to pick up. But mostly for us, we set goals. It's the personal marketing goals for each facility, and we set those goals so that our managers can just crush them. As long as you're hitting your goals and you're also seeing the referrals and the leases going up, then I would consider what you're doing to be working. So it's really pretty simple. That it's people talk about grassroots marketing. I feel like most people kind of glaze over, like, that's really nebulous. I don't even know where to begin. You begin by just getting involved, like get out there, do the visits, and as long as your traffic is increasing, you're getting more leases, you're getting more referrals in the door, then you know that it's working.
Okay. So we've really just talked about the grassroots side. How do we bridge the gap between the offline and the online marketing? I mean, you've mentioned Facebook a couple of times and putting some of your grassroots things to work on social media for you, but how else are you bridging that gap between the two?
Sure. A lot of sites nowadays, and some operators don't, some website folks, I'm not sure about you guys at Storage Pug, but they will create a blog for you, and you can post to your blog, or not even a blog, but a news page on your website. It's nice to post your events there. You can link from your website, you can link to these organizations that you're sponsoring, like Mostly Mutts, make a donation today, or whatever you're working with. You can, of course, post your social media. You want to advertise every single bit of event and networking that you're doing through your social media channels, email marketing as well. I mean, you have to force the two to combine together. You have to advertise what you're doing physically on the web, and then have the web shout it out back for you, like, this is what we're doing, please join us, and have sign up forms for if you want to host a yard sale and become a seller at our facility, you can create a sign up form through Constant Contact. That's the program we use. It's super easy. You could also use Google Forms to create those things, but you can get both sides involved. Like, you really have to braid them together. But I don't know if I answered that clearly enough.
Yeah, no, I
for
think
me, it's all in my head, so I'm just trying to explain it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it looks kind of like, for your yard sale, you've got your bags that you've put together, the swag bags. Take pictures of the goodies that are inside, and throw that on Facebook and say, we've got our bags ready for our yard sale. Can't wait for this Friday, kind of thing.
Yes.
You're advertising your sale, and you're also showing what you're doing to give back to the people that attend.
Great idea.
That is social media marketing out there.
Yes.
So it's all about promoting your brand.
Mm-hmm.
Sue, you're the second person that has mentioned QR codes. I know I've seen the chat earlier. Someone asked about QR codes, and I don't see it on here right now.
Yeah, man, I love QR codes. I like to
Yes.
I like to self-proclaim myself as a QR code expert. I've actually been using QR codes actively since 2009. I can't even say 20 something, 2009.
So can you touch on that a little bit, whether it's grassroots or, online marketing? How are you using QR codes?
Oh my goodness, all kinds of ways. So of course, every store has a QR code that points to their facility website. Every store has a QR code that points to their Google reviews page, straight to the reviews, where you pop the star and put your comments in. Josh, that's so funny. Dangerous topic. We use QR codes to let people, so if you are having people sign up for a yard sale, maybe you create a QR code to go to the sign up form for the yard sale. You can use QR codes to collect RSVPs. You can use a QR code to point to your Facebook page for people to follow you. If you are also going back to bridging the gap between physical activity and digital, if you are doing a yard sale or any kind of event, make an event on your Facebook page and push that event out there, because you can collect RSVPs through that. You can do a QR code to point to that event page to collect RSVPs for what you're doing on site as well. I mean, you could do them, put them anywhere. We put them on business cards, rack cards. We put them on the sides of our move-in trucks. I mean, put them on site. some of our sites have the ability, as we call it, a self-service. I've actually had what I call a QR kiosk on every door that we operate for years and years. But you can walk up and get rates and rental information and do a lease or a reservation
Nice.
right there, if the manager's not there. So we have those signs up at most of our properties. There's a few new properties that we're still waiting on getting that going. But yeah, you can, I mean, anywhere on the web that has a URL that you want to send people to, you can create a QR code for that. I mean, its possibilities are completely endless.
I
So
love that. You just gave us like 18 gazillion ideas there. So, and yeah, I mean, those are all, they sound like common sense, but it's probably for you it is, right? But I think like for a lot of folks, like a lot of people probably in this audience may have never even created a QR code, right? So like, can you
oh, it's
break
so
it
easy.
down even one step further for us? Like, how do you go about creating a QR code?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so my favorite QR code generator is qrstuff.com, and they're fabulous. I have a membership with them. I forget what it is. I think I pay like $90 for a year, and
It's
I can
so
be
affordable. Yep.
completely unlimited. Yeah, completely unlimited. It's great. So with this one, you can get, it is a paid program, so you can get analytics. You can see what type of devices, what time they're scanning them, what days they're scanning them, and how often they're being scanned as well. So you can kind of track activity. Like, for example, for USG ourselves, we have ads that we put in the mini storage messenger and the ISS magazine
Hmm.
and the SSA magazine. Each one of those has a QR code that's a separate code from the other codes that all point to our website. But I can go into my QR code analytics and see how many times the MSM QR code has been scanned versus the SSA magazine code has been scanned. So it's important to know when you're creating, I'm going to get back to the basics in a second, but when you're creating QR codes, if you want to have analytics and trackability, you do need to have a subscription to make QR codes. But to make a QR code is super easy. You go to your QR code generator website. QR stuff is my favorite. You Wherever it is on the web that you want people to go to, you go up to the address bar of your browser and you copy that entire link. And you just, right click, like select it all, right click copy or control C on your keyboard. And then you go to your QR code generator, you select that what type of, on QR stuff, you select what type of QR code it's going to be. Hey, there we go. So
There
you
we go.
select website URL, you right click, pop it in there, what you're going to do. Yep, there you go. And then hit next step. And then this is the fun part. This is the part this is where you can change the branding. So I always like to do little dots. I think the dots are cute. And then rounded corners on the eyeball shape. If you go down there, that one. Yep. And then if you go to the next tab, right underneath look and feel, yep, color. You can, these are kind of weird doing the background colors. So for my stores, for every single brand we have, I have a brand spec sheet, so I have the hexadecimal codes, the hex codes for the colors for every single brand. So I'll put in the foreground color and the background color, native to the store itself and arrange that. And
Hmm.
then, you can do whatever colors you want to make match your brand. But most importantly, when you're creating a QR code, you want to make sure you're using a high contrast set of colors. The best is always a dark color on a white background. That's always the cleanest. You don't want to do like a beige background with kind of a brown. It's just not going to scan. And then you can go to the logo and you can, pop in any kind of like, you can hit that right there and browse out and find a logo. Oh, they're only going to let you do it if you subscribe. See, there's another thing. But then you would pop your logo in and it would just appear right in the middle of your QR code there. And then the next step after that is you want to pay very careful attention to this page. Okay. So at the top, you've got your size and resolution, 400 by 72 DPI. You want to make sure, I always change my DPI to match 400 because I want it to be high resolution. I want it to be able to be printable, in any format. And I usually download mine as an EPS, but I'm a designer, so I can do that. Most lay people are going to do either a JPEG or a PNG, and that's going to be fine too. Just make sure you increase your resolution. Then the error correction. This is really important. What this means is this is the amount of, there you go. This is the amount of damage that a QR code can sustain before it becomes unreadable. Okay. So the more characters that you put into your QR code, the more dense the field gets, the more you have a lot more little, what I call pixel bits involved in it. So you got to be really careful with this. Now, Levels L and M, those represent probably the best compromise. I usually choose level M. That means my QR code can sustain up to 15% damage before it's unreadable. And when I'm speaking about damage, what I'm talking about is when it prints on any other surface, maybe it doesn't print exactly right. Maybe you're using a screen printer and it's, one of the globs kind of globbed over and joined to the next one. Or maybe your printer is running out of ink and it's kind of skipping a beat there. So it can sustain up to 15% damage before it becomes unreadable. Or even you've given out your business card and your QR code has been rubbed on some because it's in somebody's wallet before they scan it and give it to somebody else. You want to make sure you're paying attention to that damage level. And then the last little bit is just naming it. That next step is naming your QR code and downloading it. So it's actually really, really easy. You just want to pay attention to those few key pieces there.
That's it. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, you get this little QR code that scans.
Yep.
And this one specifically takes customers to the Universal Storage Group website.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna try it out. Always try it out.
yes,
Make
great
sure that it
advice.
Let's see. There we go. Oh, let's see. Where are we going? Did you do it right? You did. Yay.
Yay.
Universal. So
Very
yeah,
nice.
that's another thing when you're creating QR codes, you want to test it before you go to print. You want to test. I'm an Android. I get my iPhone user people to test it. I get my Google Pixel people to use it to test it on multiple devices and make sure that it works. And when it works, not only is it scannable, but it goes to the destination and you're seeing the content as expected. Then you go to print. If anything's hinky, then you don't want to do it yet. Another good thing about having a paid program with QR stuff or any other QR code generator is you can create dynamic QR codes, which means you can take the exact same code and point it at something else later. So you might have different pages that you've created on the back side of your website where you have this type of special and another one that's set up for this type of special and another one that's set up for this type of special. Each one of those pages has a unique URL to it. So if you want to change if you have a scan here for specials QR code that you put on your flyers and you want to change that over time, you might change it and point to different pages. Alternately, you could create individual QR codes for each one of those and track which of your specials is doing the best job too. So just food for thought there.
Lots of good ideas there. So thanks for the tutorial on QR
Yeah,
codes.
Thank you for Vanna Whiting that for me.
Absolutely.
Did a great job, Tommy.
Actually, I heard of this idea this morning. Alexis, who's one of the part of the Pug Pack, she owns Stop and Go Self Storage, and they've got, I don't know, 10 or so facilities, maybe even like 15 now. But anyways, point being, I learned from Alex, who usually works with Alexis, how she uses QR codes, and I thought it was actually a really brilliant idea. What she does is they print off the QR code and put it inside the storage unit before the tenant moves in. And how they use it is they specifically use it for the move-out form. So they have a move-out form that we host on the website. And so the tenant, the sign says, hey, when you're ready to move out, just scan this QR code. So that's actually increased the number of notifications they get. We all know that problem.
Nice.
The tenants moved out and you don't find out about it until their rent's late. And then you call them and they're like, oh yeah, we moved out last month.
Yeah, well,
those are the facilities who aren't doing daily walk-ins.
Yeah.
But the ones who are doing,
could be really helpful on a remote location, though.
Yes.
Super helpful.
Very helpful for remote. And are they including an exit survey in that form as
so
well?
I don't know that
You
they
find out
are.
why they're
I just
moving
know
out
it links to but that would be another great use case for it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm imagining, as you talked about earlier about referrals and reviews, like you can just have a mass, I don't know, I wouldn't say massive, but you can just have a panel of QR codes that said, hey, moving out, scan here. Want to leave us a review? Scan here. Want to refer us to a friend? Scan here. And then you could have resources that so these are all fantastic ways. And how they do it is they just have it right there in the unit before the tenant moves in. If you don't want to go that extent, then you can just put it in the hallway or in the entry and exit doors, right? So
and your kind of loading area would be a good place to do
another
it.
good place. Yeah.
So speaking of referrals and QR codes, our newest referral cards that I'm starting to create for a lot of our stores, it's a cute little square card. It's a thicker card. It's not just your regular business card material. It's got a QR code on it that leads the user to a Google form. So the intent is if you you're carrying around a referral card and you encounter someone who needs self-storage, you say, hey man, go to this place, scan right here and fill out this form and they'll get right in touch with you. So when that Google form is filled out, I've got Google notifications enabled on it so that whenever that form is filled out, an email goes straight to the manager. The manager can call that referral immediately and follow up as quickly as possible and say, hey, I heard you were looking for self-storage. How can I help you? What do you need? And get them in the door, as opposed
Instead
to
of waiting on them to go to the store and do the action themselves. Oh,
exactly,
I
because
love
you can
it.
hand a card to somebody and say, here, go to this place, and they're like, okay, and they'll put it in their pocket and forget about it. But if they fill out a form immediately and the manager has opportunity to reach out, it's a lot faster, and you have the opportunity to capture that sale. So
Good
you got
life
to do
hack.
everything you can. We're in a competition with
Yeah.
everything now, with the saturation in the markets.
Yeah, you got to make it as easy as you can, and that's
Yeah.
what
And
how
follow
much
up
easier does
is
it
so
get?
important. Follow up
Mm-hmm.
on every lead as soon as possible. It's so important because the truth is, once they've left their, reservation with you or sent an inquiry with you on the web, they're still searching. They're looking for other opportunities. They're looking for other prices. So if you can call them within that first 5 to 10 minutes
Oh
after
gosh.
receiving an inquiry, you're more like I think it's 50% more likely to get the sale. I forget what the stat is right now. So, oh,
Okay.
that's neat. That David Leach just put, I had a QR
Yeah.
code in the office for a Spotify playlist that we created. Had tons of
Oh,
customers
that's
scan it and it was always and comment. It was very engaging. That's a cool idea.
David. That's a
That's
fun way to do
fun.
QR codes. That's
Yeah.
I want that. I want to know what your list has on it.
yes.
Love music. That's great.
There are at least one, I think there might be two now, self-storage themed playlists on Spotify. So if
That's cool. That is very cool. I
someone has
love
taken
that.
the effort to create self-storage themed music,
That's
or
great.
collected and curated such a
I
list
think
for
that's a
us.
whole other Gabfocus topic. We should do
Yeah.
that. Like, what are your
Yes.
best
That's
self-storage
true.
moving songs?
Oh
Yeah,
my
I love
gosh.
it.
That's amazing.
So you've given us a ton of ideas. How much time are we supposed to be spending on things like social media, for instance, or on grassroots marketing, or like how there's so many things that we could do here. I feel like we could get lost in the weeds and
Yeah,
never actually have time to rent a unit. So
right.
how do you draw
Yeah.
that line?
So you have to be really careful planning your time. Time management is a huge part of being a self-storage manager. We all know that anyway. So when it's time, let me start with social media, how much time to spend. Probably if you are planning out your posts related to what you're doing in your community and the marketing that you're doing in your community, the events that you have coming up or what's going on in your community, you want to always post valuable content to your community. Like, even if you're not hosting a special event on site anytime soon, you can still tell people, hey, this is what's going on in New Harley, Georgia this weekend, and give them the goods there. So you want to, keep up with that, and plan your posts. And I tell my managers to sit down once a week and create all their posts for the next or once every 2 weeks, sit down and create all their posts for the next 2 weeks and go ahead and schedule them. And then they don't have to touch it again. Now, you're going to get notifications because people will reach out to you and message, and you want to respond to them as soon as possible. But those interactions should only take a few minutes each day if you get a message. But otherwise, sitting down and planning your posts and scheduling them, you should spend about an hour doing that for every 2 weeks. That's not a whole lot of time for social media. As far as grassroots marketing, most of my stores have at least one marketing day per week, and I tell them they need to plan for that day and everything that they're going to do for that day in the days before, in between projects. You're going to have daily tasks. You're going to have maybe some letters you have to send out, or some phone calls you got to make for collections, or you got to do a lock check, and you have all these things that you have to do. One of those tasks on your list needs to be knocking out something leading up to your marketing day. So
Mm,
whether it's putting together your goodie bags that you're going to give away, or planning your route that you're going to travel on, or figuring out who your target is and creating, a flyer. For my company in Dropbox, we have a marketing templates folder where there's a bunch of flyers, there's a bunch of postcards. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in there that the managers can swap out their logo, put their information in, and print it off and use it, for their particular store. So you plan all those things in advance for your marketing day.
okay.
And then I actually tell my managers, and I told them at training this, because we were like, you got to get back out there. It's time to get back out there and do your visits again. And Mandy can attest to this because she was there. But like, you have to start doing your visits again because we petered off through COVID. We got to pull back up. So plan all your marketing, where you're going to go, what your route is, what you're going to give away, what your message is, who are you targeting? Are you targeting real estate offices? Are you targeting doctors' offices, attorneys' offices, any of these high volume use cases for self-storage? Let me back up. Okay, so in grassroots marketing, a lot of communities or a lot of managers want to hop out in their community and they just kind of shotgun approach, just throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. You're going to hit every single business in this row today. And then you go to the next one, every single business in this row today, in this shopping center. I've found through years and years of this that it's better, you have a lot more response to it if you have a laser targeted message to a particular type of user of self-storage. So a real estate agent, you have a specific message for them. Attorneys and medical offices, store your files with us, clear out that last patient room that you're storing files in and bring it over to our property and then see more patients, turn more business there. So laser focused messaging requires that you have to plan your visits in a way that you're only visiting those type of businesses on your marketing day. So what I do is we employ what I call zone marketing. You take your entire market area, you cut it up into zones. If you have 4 marketing days for the month, then you have 4 zones in your zone.
Okay.
So on the first week, you're going to visit all the apartment complexes in zone 1. Okay. And the second week, you're going to visit all the apartment complexes in zone 2. And then the third week of the month, zone 3, fourth week of the month, zone 4. That way, the entire month is focused on that type of business, apartment complexes. And then each time you go out, you're not zigzagging all over your entire 5 to 10 mile radius. You're staying in a tight little area and you're not wasting time. You're not wasting energy. You're not wasting gas to get there. Okay.
I love that.
So, you get all of your information, you plan your route, who you're going to go to, you laser target your message, create your flyer or whatever it is that you're giving out, your goodie bag, whatever. What we like to do also is we take, I don't have one with me, little stadium cups, 16-ounce stadium cups that are branded for the store. And we drop that down into a cellophane bag that you can get from Uline. It's like a 15-inch tall, 4x5 gusseted cellophane bag. Drop that cup down in there, fill it full of candy, throw some pins in, throw some referral cards in, all kinds of stuff, and tie it off with a little curly ribbon, and attach your business card to it. And it's an instant like miniature gift basket. People love that. So get whatever goodie you're giving away, get that ready in the day before, days before, and put everything you need, including your marketing call report where you're going to track where you went, put it all in your car the night before. Don't go to the office. Put a sign on the door that says we will open 11 o'clock today. If you have the ability to be remotely covered by another store, have that store cover your phone calls and everything until you open, so you get there at 11. And instead of going to your store, start marketing at 9 a.m. Go to these businesses before they get busy too, because if you wait until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, they're trying to eat lunch. They're probably busy because the other people who are on their lunch break are visiting also. Like, plan your time to be there. Knock it out first thing of the day, and then come back to your store, open up at 11 or 12 o'clock whenever you get back, and then complete your marketing day. Fill out the rest of your form. Add all your new contacts to your email database so you can follow up with them with an email that should go out reminding them. So you want to make sure that you're taking notes every time you visit any of these businesses. And on average, maybe 10 visits, can be knocked out in 2 hours. 3 hours if you're practicing this very tightly knit zone marketing program. So it's pretty easy to do that. That equals 40 visits, a month, which is 480 visits for the year. And if only 25% of those generate a referral, then you've created another 120 leases this year, which is a lot. Wow. Yeah, I mean, if you think of it that way. So, and you want to make sure you're taking, really important to take notes about what you talked about with each visit. So I tell my managers, instead of sitting, and trying to write down their name, their address, their phone number, and all this stuff across the form, that's on their business card that you're taking away from them. You write that crap down later, right? So number the business card, and on the number 1 line, write what you talked about, because that's what's important. Because the next time you go back and visit them, you're going to look at your previous marketing call report and see what you talked about and follow up with them about it. And so, I mean, it could be as minor as, they mentioned their son was in a baseball game. Well, how did his season go? Make it personal, build a relationship with these people. So
the amount of discipline you have to have, though, I imagine is got to be immense. And but I love what's the analogy or the metaphor, like the breaking down an elephant? How do you
Yeah, one bite at a time.
yeah,
Yep.
one bite at a time, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's the
absolutely. Yeah.
how you described it, the zone marketing is unreal. And I think for context, the 125 extra, in your example, right? If you get 120 some extra leases, let
Yeah.
me share this. So we just did a analysis of a brand that we work with. They have about 50 facilities. They're based in Texas. They're a fantastic group, and we did an analysis of all their facilities year over year. In 2022, when you add up all the facilities, their net move-ins across all 50 or so facilities was 219.
Mm-hmm.
Once you netted it all out, right? So they could have grown their net rentals across their entire portfolio by 50% simply
Mm-hmm.
by doing these little tactics, which is like that ends up adding
Yeah.
real life occupancy numbers.
Yeah.
And so like that's really cool. And I
You
love how you broke that down.
can really move
And
the needle there. And Jeffrey Wolf, he just posted, 10 visits in 2 hours. That's less than 15 minutes per visit. I understand what you're saying there, Jeffrey, but truly, and he said we usually visit for at least 15 minutes. I teach my team, unless they engage in conversation with you, get
mm,
in, get out, leave a favorable impression, and get out of their hair because they're at work.
that's
I mean,
Yeah.
like be
yeah,
cognizant of their time. So usually our visits are maybe in the 5 to 7 minute range,
that's cool.
because if you walk in there and you go and tell them blah 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 everything you want to tell them, we pay you for your referrals, we've got a yard sale coming up, we've got all these things, because you should be cross marketing your events too every time you talk to them. We have I didn't even mention the business of the month program. I got to tell you all about that. Do we have time? Because that's a cool thing
We
too.
have time. We
um,
have time.
Of
so I want
course.
you to join my business of the month program. It would be great.
Yeah.
So you
But
can
go in with a
literally,
specific message so that
I
you can
love.
go in,
yeah,
deliver it, and get back out. Because
yeah,
I
and
agree.
just
If
say,
you
hey,
don't want them to see your team coming every month and think, "Oh my gosh, they're back."
Stacie is
right.
here again, but she
Yeah.
brought muffins, so we'll listen to her talk.
Yeah, but it gives you opportunity to ask them for their contact
That's
information.
cool.
I've got so much more I
Yeah,
can tell you. I'll just email it to you. Do you have a business card? And then you get their business
yeah,
card, you follow up with all the information about,
yeah.
these are opportunities that we can network with one another and engage and create an alliance between our two businesses. And you put it forth that way.
I love
So
that.
I think that's important. You should get out there and have a good time talking to people, meeting people, get very comfortable shaking hands and kissing babies. I mean, that's what it's all about, becoming part of the community. But
Mhm.
making sure that not only visiting them at one time, but following up with email, and then maybe sending them a letter later on with a stack of referral cards in it, and then following up again with another visit to them. Hey, how's it going? Do you need more referral cards?
Mhm.
I mean, I got so much more I could tell you all about.
I know.
And there's tons of questions in the Q&A too.
I know. I know. So here's what I'd love to do, Stacie.
Yeah,
Let me ask, there's a question here I think it's worth asking. All of these are worth asking, but let me ask one of them, and then we'll go to question of the week. And anyone who wants to stick around after the show can stick around for a few more minutes. Does that sound good?
yeah,
Because a lot of the people in this audience are also at work. I'd love to get them
yeah.
back to work. But I love your comment though, Jeffrey. Jeffrey said, agreed. It's all about being a friendly face, but we are an excuse to stop for a few minutes. LOL. That
Yes,
yes,
that's true.
that's a
That's
good
true.
deal.
Yeah.
But Gretchen asked, do you have any advice? And we didn't touch on this too much as we kind of branch into the digital, but do you have advice on getting video testimonials from customers? How do you go about getting someone on camera and saying nice things about you?
Uh, so when you have see, okay, that's a tough one, actually. It's getting tougher. It used to be that people would come to the store and pay their rent and visit with you for a minute. Or if
Mm,
you sometimes we're lucky enough to have those customers that come to their unit frequently, and you can kind of catch them and say, hey, Mr. Jones, I see you're here again today. I just love that you come and use your unit as more of a commodity part extension of your home. I think you enjoy storing here. Would you mind leaving a testimonial for me? I mean, I've got my video camera here. I would love to put you on my Facebook page because I think you're a power user of self-storage, and that would be great. And just kind of asking them. It used to be so much easier to get those interactions and speak to people, because they were coming in paying and all. Now you kind of have to catch them. So, you can ask them to record their own testimonial. You can do you could even do a contest. Maybe send out an email to all your customer database, win a $500 gift card for a random drawing if you just send us a 10-minute or 10-second video saying, because 10 seconds is a long time. I mean, it really is in terms of video and audio footage. So 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds or less video telling us what you think of our facility or explaining why you chose our facility over any other, what features you enjoy the most of our facility. Anyone who creates a video and sends it in to us, be entered in a drawing to win, $500 or whatever it is. And think about how valuable those testimonials are. I would gladly pay $500 for a slew of those that I could start publishing in a drip campaign over time and post on my website. So you do need, yes, Chanel just posted that there. Part of the entry would require them filling out a media release to make sure that you could use their likeness and their video with their permission. But yes, you do need that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But
I love it.
That's yeah. So
Are we ready for question of the week?
I think we're ready for question of the week. Stacie, thanks for dropping all this knowledge. This was
There's
so
more. I didn't even
much
get to
good
cover everything
stuff.
I put in my notes.
Well, we'll do the Q&A, the rest of the Q&A after this. And
Yes.
so
Okay.
maybe we can touch on some of those things. But I'm excited to hear your answer to the question of the week. So
No doubt. So
Okay.
question of the week. If your marketing budget was $500, which grassroots tactic would provide the best return on investment? $500, what would you do?
Does it have to be one, or can I explain how you could do 3 in one for the same budget?
Sign me up.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
How would you spend $500 on grassroots? I think that might be
This
the
is
question.
what I would do.
Yep.
Okay. So what I would do is I would start with getting some smaller promotional items along with candy. Now, wait, question. Is it $500 a month or for the whole year?
Ooh, Melissa, what do we think? I think, knowing the kinds of people, I think this is probably annualized.
Probably a year.
Probably a year. Okay.
I was going to
Probably,
say, I think
I-
500 a month would be fantastic.
I
but
know.
I don't think you're going to get anybody.
I don't
to
think
do
I don't think the average facility owner is authorizing 500 for grassroots marketing. Hopefully, they're authorizing at least 500 towards
Total
marketing.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
but
For
specifically grassroots, let's
Okay.
imagine this is an annual
Okay.
budget.
So we're looking at what, $75 a month there, something like that. Okay.
Thereabouts.
That's good.
All right. So I would start by getting some little candy bags and get my business cards, tie it onto the candy bag. I would go out in the marketplace and visit a bunch of businesses and invite them. Hey, I would love for you to become part of my Business of the Month program. This lets me tell you all about this because this is actually my answer for this.
I
So
love
the Business of the Month program is super easy. You're going out marketing to these different businesses and you ask them if they would like to join. They're like, well, what's that about? Oh, it's so easy. I would love it if your business could donate a prize that I will market and give away for you at my facility. So the prize needs to be a minimum of $25 value, $50 value, whatever it is, consumer retail value, not their actual cost, because their cost, whatever it is, their business is going to be a lot lower, their actual costs. So make sure you make that clear to them. So maybe it's $50 prize. Okay. So then they're gonna be like, yeah, I would love to do that. Okay, great. Let me get some information about your business. And you have a form we have a form they fill out. When were you founded? Who's the owners? Like, what's your purpose? What exactly do you do? How can you help people in our community? Okay, wonderful. And what's the link to your website? You get their permission to use this. Let me have your logo. And there's a permission at the end of all of this to link and use their logo. So you go back to your store, you create an email as part of your regular email marketing campaigns, introducing our Business of the Month this month. It's, Joe's Closets and More, and they're giving away a $50 gift certificate to, an organizational piece for your closet or, whatever, I don't know what they're giving away. So whatever the prize is, or maybe even just a lot of businesses just do a gift card, like a $50 gift card is what they're giving away. So in order to win this prize, click here. Okay, so in our Constant Contact program, you can create a landing page where people will go to that landing page and enter their name, address, and phone number, and boom, they're entered to win. Okay, so you'll send the email a couple times, get a bunch of entries going. You'll also take this and post it on Facebook. Everything I've done so far costs nothing other than your regular Constant Contact, what you normally would pay for your program, and the little bit of money you spent on the marketing goodies that you're giving away each month. Okay, so then The prize doesn't even cost anything because the business is donating it, right? So in the email, you're going to say, this is Joe's Closets and More. This is what they do. You're going to give a little editorial picture of their logo, link to their website, link to enter to win. People enter to win. You run it a few times, post it on Facebook a few times throughout the month. Then and you say in the email, we're going to do a drawing on X day. So enter, and then you can say only one more day to enter in your last post, things like that. Then on the last day, you pull that, because what's happening with that form in Constant Contact is every single entry is going on to a separate contact list. So you can take that contact list and print it out and slice it up into little pieces, paper, put it in an actual hat or a bowl or whatever, go Facebook Live. Hey, we're drawing our business of the month and this is who it is, and you have, maybe even you have a customer and you're like, hey, draw this for me, and to involve them as well.
Or you can do the Wheel of Surprises.
Yeah. So, do a Facebook Live to announce who the winner is. And so congratulations, Bill Smith, you have won a $50 gift card courtesy of Joe's Closets and More. So whenever you get a chance, come on down and we'll get you that card. So the fact of it is, though, the business has to provide the prize to you and you keep it at your facility. That allows you to take pictures of it and advertise it in the emails and on Facebook.
Okay.
It also demands that the person who's winning comes to your property, at which time you give them a tour of your property. Hey, while you're here, before I give you the prize, I need to walk you around, show you the property. I'm going to give you a stack of referral cards. Anybody who needs storage with us, send them our way. We'll be glad. And let me get a picture of you with your prize. And then you post the winner in another email, post it on Facebook, and then you recycle it again for the next month with the next business of the month. Every single bit of that cost me elbow grease.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chess
and
while
you're
we're
really
playing
a
checkers.
service for all the businesses too. The businesses love it. So if they have a customer that needs storage, they're going to say, go see Stacie because she's been promoting my business.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
they're getting all this free marketing because you're doing marketing for both of you at that point, but they're providing the prize.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Stacie, that's all. Thank you for sharing that program.
You're welcome. That's what I would do with my $500.
Yeah. Y'all are gonna have to watch the replay on that and take notes. That was awesome. That was heckin' awesome. Well, Stacie, thanks again for joining us on stage. Welcome back to Gabfocus. In case the audience wants to learn more about you or Universal Storage Group or get help on all the things that you might be able to help them with, including the Business of the Month program, how can they find you?
You can go to universalstoragegroup.com. That's actually kind of our store landing page for all the websites. You can go to Universal Storage Management. If you're on Universal Storage Group, you just go to About Us and it'll show you about Universal. It'll take you over there. You can reach out to me, Stacie, S-T-A-C-I-E, at universalstoragegroup.com. And also, if you go on our website, there's clickable where you can click to call. The phone number is there if you can call. So yeah, just reach out to me. I'm glad to help. The whole Universal team, it's me, it's Ann Ballard, the hat lady, she's amazing. Sarah Beth Johnson and Lou Barnholt they're actually our VPs of sales and development now, but they get out and do a lot of help as well. They do a lot of our consulting work, for clients. So, just reach out. We're all glad to help. We're passionate about it. So I know I specifically am very passionate about educating people. It really it brings me joy to help you succeed. So please reach out.
No, y'all, the whole USG crew is amazing, and y'all are purple themed, so there's that.
You can't go wrong with the purple people.
Can't go wrong with the purple people. What an incredible episode! This episode, along with all past episodes, are available wherever you listen to your podcast. They're also available on our resource center, storagebug.com/resources. I saw a few comments and questions there in the chat about, hey, where can I get this episode? Hey, where can I listen to this later? Will there be a replay? Yes, yes, and yes. Check out Spotify. Check out the resource center. It should be live either end of day tomorrow and at the latest tomorrow morning. And you'll also get an email that says, hey, check out the replay. But up next is the March episode. Drum roll, please. Top 5 sales skills for managers. So when Melissa and I were planning this season's episodes, we realized that, you know what? Things are going to be a little bit harder this year than in years past. So we wanted to go heavy on marketing and sales, because we actually have to do that this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stacie talked about the
In a bit.
storage trends, or the Google trends for self-storage, and you saw that massive peak in 2021, right? And you saw how we've gradually gone back down to pre-pandemic demand, which means we got to work again. We got to roll up our sleeves. We got to show up to the office. We have to respond to leads in a 5-minute timeline, right?
Yeah,
And we can't just
absolutely.
leave our leads on unread, or on red. So all that
Yeah.
said, hang out with us. Listen, I will be here. Top 5 sales skills for managers, March 28th. So
That's
thank
gonna
you,
be a good
y'all.
one.
Yeah, Melissa, thank you for being the greatest co-host I've
Aw,
ever had.
thanks. Thanks. Thanks to our helpers who have been answering questions and giving us information as we've needed it.
I know. Shout out Garrett, man. Thank you for the episode 57. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And
Guys are all
Sue,
fantastic.
Sue is an honorary. I mean, Sue is part of the original Gap Fest, and I see you on there answering questions and chiming in. So
It
Sue,
was fantastic.
uh,
Yeah.
thanks for your help there as well. So Stacie, if you have a few minutes, would love to answer some of these questions that were submitted in the Q&A that we didn't get to during the live episode. Is that cool?
Sure, absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right, right on. So Jeff said, "Hey, how do you feel we need to reallocate the percentage of our Google Ads budget towards grassroots efforts?" So yeah, so thoughts on digital marketing spend and reallocating some of that spend towards grassroots, or do you think this is a separate line item altogether?
Well, I think it depends. I think you need to look at your return on investment on your pay-per-click and see if you're actually like what's your cost per lease that you're pulling from your pay-per-click. If it's more than $200, then that's a little too high in my opinion. So I would say maybe take a chunk of that and move it over. But there are limits though. Like you don't want to cut your pay-per-click lower than $250 maybe per month because you're really not going to do enough to get out there. Your money's going to be wasted at that point. So be really careful with that, but check and make sure, see what your cost per lease is for the pay-per-click. You can actually drill it all the way down to the lease. We have enough tracking to be able to do that nowadays. So and you may have to manually tie it out depending on your software, but it can be done and see how much these leases are costing you, how much it's costing you to generate a lease from pay-per-click activities. If you're only getting 1 or 2 a month, then it's not really worth it for you. So you might want to take some of that money and reallocate it over to the grassroots. Or if you have it in your budget, I mean, I would honestly just create a little more churn for grassroots. If your pay-per-click is working, it's functioning, and you're getting leases at $150 or less cost per lease, then it's really doing well. So leave it at that and generate some more money on the side for grassroots if you can.
Good
So
advice.
I think, believe it or not, there's one piece that we didn't actually talk about, and that was colleges.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with local schools, high schools or colleges, really? What are some of those best practices that you like
Okay.
to do?
All right. So there's a couple things. If you're number one warning, I just want to put this out here because it like we've been burnt by this. So if you're using an internet aggregator like Sparefoot or Storage Cafe or any of the other ones, and you're in a college town, you want to pump the brakes starting in April and you want to pull back and not put those units online through these internet aggregators because the cost of them, especially with Sparefoot, you're going to pay at least 1 month's full rent to these internet aggregators. Sometimes two, depending on your bid amount, you're going to pay 2 months full rent. These college students stay for 1 or 2 months and then they're gone. So you're going to lose every bit of money that you would have generated to these college students if you're using an internet aggregator for these particular seasons for college students. So if you're in a college town, pull back on your aggregator, pause everything, just take your facility offline. It's not going to hurt you too much if you're doing all your other marketing efforts, if you're doing pay-per-click and doing your visits and all those things as well. It will save you because you will lose money. Second, to reach out to college students, some of the things that we've done is we go, with permission, you call the college and with permission, you can go on campus and put flyers up in the community centers. You can even do the old school little tear off ones with the little tabs at the bottom. Most of the time, a QR code works just fine nowadays, especially. But what we like to do is have students, we create a package for students to make it super easy for them. It works really well, especially if we have a free move truck or if we're a U-Haul rental where we can kind of credit rent to cover the cost of the rental. But you create a package. You can rent with us for 3 months. You discount the rental amount. We're going to throw in this number of boxes, which for us, it's 55% markup. So, we're not losing a whole lot of money there. We're going to throw in 10 medium boxes for you, and we'll even cover the cost of your rental truck. You pay the gas, of course, and the mileage, but it creates a package that they can call their parents and be like, hey, instead of me schlepping all this stuff all the way back home for the summer, how about I just store it here? It's a easy done package. Parents call up with a credit card, rent the unit, boom, you're done. So creating a package for college students is a really smart way to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
It
One
seems
thing
to be
that
very
we have done in the
successful.
past is actually get in with the college when they send out their welcome packet to the new students. Lots of times they'll also send one to the parents. And that's the one we wanted to be in, because the
Yeah.
parents, that way come spring, they say, no, 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 I've already got information about a storage place. I'm not going to come pick up your crap. This is where you need to take it.
That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
nobody wants to do that. So,
Yeah.
getting in the parents' head is where you need to be, because they're the ones footing the bill. So,
Yeah,
in most
exactly.
cases,
They're going to pay for it anyway.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. Jennifer asked, this is back to the postcards. How frequently would you space out those EDDM mailings?
I would do it monthly if you could, and I would do 3 months in a row.
Okay.
Just for that one particular message. And I would do it in the spring, for your summer leasing activity. I would do another one in the late fall. For your winter activity, because then you can include, we're having a coat drive, we're having a food drive, we're having photos with Santa. You can put all this stuff on your postcard. This is what's happening in our facility. By the way, we pay you for referrals, so if you know anybody. And then you're advertising also for the down season and getting people to your property. It's really that fall and winter marketing is so important, because that's when you have a little more time because you're not as busy, but it's also when our occupancies decline, and you've got to create traffic to keep your occupancy up through the fall
So,
and winter.
and really, you take every single marketing opportunity to talk about your referral program. No matter
Absolutely.
what it is,
No matter what.
you're putting that on there. Oh, by the way, every
Yep.
single time. I love that.
Yep.
Love
Yeah,
that.
because you would pay it to anybody, no expiration, no limit. You
Mhm.
know, there's been customers that have effectively paid their rent by sending referrals our way. So
That's the
Hey,
it
best.
that works. That works. Okay, so Jeffrey asked, what balance of storage focused and just fun post should there be on various media?
I would say I would follow the 80-20 rule. That's what we try to do. And with the storage focused information, we try only, 20-25% storage focused. And it's really not, hey, we got 10 by 10s on sale. It's more like how to use storage tips. Like, this is the best way to plan for a move, or how to pack a dish pack box, or different pieces of content that tells people the how-tos, more than just advertising your particular units. They can click the link and go to your facility and see what, like, go to your website and see what specials you have right now. And you can put that in, click to see what specials we have right now. If you need storage, you can put that in the description, but make the post helpful content. And then the other 75 to 80% needs to be more fun, needs to be about your community. It needs to be about your events coming up, and things like that. So,
Social.
yeah, social. It needs to be social content.
Let's see. Which question next, Tommy?
Well, Bob, I love you, Bob. This is well, I'm gonna ask Stacie for her top three things, because there's a very big question to ask.
Yeah.
But Bob says, hey, what do I need to work on right now for a brand new facility that's opening in July of 2024? So you've got March, April, May, June, July. You got 5 months
Okay.
or so. What do you do? Top three
Okay.
things.
Bob, do you have a brand?
Ooh,
Brand and logo. Okay.
yep.
Number two, website. Number three, start plan. Oh, he has a brand. Okay, so brand is
Okay.
good. So number one,
Yep.
website. Got to get your website going. Go ahead and publish your website before you open. You want to, even though, depending on whatever software, you might be SiteLink, you might be Easy Storage, you might be Storage. Doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to connect that to your website until you're ready to start renting units when you get a CO. But you can connect it ahead. let me rephrase that. You don't want to rent units online until you have a CO and you can actually have people in the door, but you can start taking reservations in advance. Okay, so you can set it to reservations only. So get your website going, have it up there about a month and a half before you're ready to open your doors. So people can go ahead and start reserving units. But that also allows the website on the back end to be crawled by all the search engines
Mm-hmm.
and indexed. So you're going to come up in search results a little higher when you launch out. So number one, website. Number two, start planning for your grand opening. Um, you want to make sure that you're reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce, getting them involved get on their calendar, because a lot of times their calendar is like a year away. So you want to reach out to them now and get your date for your grand opening ribbon cutting, because that becomes a big opportunity photo op, and they will advertise that for you as well. Number three, you want to go ahead and start creating your promotional items that you want to have and get a marketing plan going. Figure out what your market area is, figure out what your zones are, and get ready to start pushing those visits with your manager, whoever's going to be doing that for you. So that you can go ahead and start doing that in advance of opening. You might even create special flyers with grand opening special 10% extra 10% off, whatever our rates are. Because when you're in a lease up situation, you want to build occupancy first, get the people in the door, give them a good special for the first couple of months, and then they go back to their regular, whatever their rate is. So those
Brilliant.
are three things I would do.
Yeah. So Bob, hopefully that helps. So go ahead and get your brand, your logo, your website going.
Yeah.
45 days or so, month and a half before you launch is our recommendation as well. So that mirrors what Stacie's talking about there. So if you're planning on opening July 1st, ideally your website would already be alive on Google sometime in May.
Yep.
That gives the search engines plenty of time to know that you exist.
That's right.
And then getting your pre-leasing reservations going, right? And then planning for that grand opening, which like Stacie said, depending on where you're building, that Chamber of Commerce could be up to a year out. Like Valley Storage, for example, how long was Valley open before y'all actually could do the open house?
I think they were open 3 months, and that open house, we planned that in 3 weeks. Like we were so tight because we knew we had to get it done
Yeah.
before like Christmas hit, before the holidays. And so it
Yes.
was either wait until January when everybody's in the doldrums of winter, or let's do it now. And we were
There we
like,
go.
let's do it now. So
Yep.
it ended up being we didn't have quite as many people as I wanted to attend, but we did have about, I don't know, maybe 40 people show up all in all,
This-
like we're in and out the
I mean,
door.
for a self-storage event, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was a really well done event.
Thank
And then Bob, the 45 days ahead. So you should also add buffer time to take time to build the website. So launching a website in May doesn't mean you
Different than
start in May.
yes.
You'll
Yeah.
you'll want to get started in March or April.
Yeah.
So
Reach
so
out and
Bob,
find your web provider now. Go
yes.
ahead and get them now.
Honestly, you should probably start now. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't be like the owner who calls us and says, "Hey, we're opening our facility next week. Can you build a website for us?" And then, there may be some of y'all in the audience who fit in that category.
Well,
Bob
and
B,
then
don't.
there's even the people that wait till the last week to pick their software out. And I'm like, how did you build this facility and you don't even know what software you're going to use yet?
Yeah,
So-
don't be that.
Build your database with all your units. Yeah.
Yes. Darby's on our sales team here. Darby says, yes, we get a lot of calls like that. So Bob, don't be that guy. You have plenty of time to not be that guy. So
You've been
excited.
That's right.
Love it, love it. So then Melissa, you want to ask the very last one? I think Danielle, she is still in the audience here. Yes, she is.
Okay, good. All right. So this has to do with Google reviews. To get our staff more active with Google reviews, we've been doing monthly contests like Amazon gift cards, that kind of thing. So she's trying to create an incentive program that is not necessarily monthly. Do you do anything like that to incentivize your staff to actually ask that question and get the reviews?
Yeah, we have done that. We actually are looking at doing an award. We do at the end of every year, we have our annual awards, which we do at our company training. We just did that a couple weeks ago. We're looking at adding an award next year for this actually. But we will do incentives to the staff as long as you're not incentivizing the Google review the person who's leaving the review, then you're legal. You can incentivize your staff, and we did it in a way it's percent of growth of reviews, not the number of reviews they capture. Because if one store is brand new and they've got 5 reviews and another store's been around for a while and they got 200 reviews, it's not really fair because they're already in motion getting reviews. So we did percent of growth as our reward. But we've done the incentives before, and it's been like a gift card or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
And Danielle, if I love that you started that program. We had another operator, Spacebox, actually, Heather, who's been on Gabfocus, and they did a quarterly event. And so they said, and you had to have a minimum. So that was the way they did it. Was like, not only was it a quarterly long thing, in order for your store, or you as the manager to qualify, you had to get X number of reviews. And I think they did, it was either 50 or 100. You had to get at least 50 or 100 reviews to qualify for the big reward. And because they did it quarterly, it was a massive reward. It was like $1,500 for the store that had the most reviews, and then 1,000 for the second most, and then 500 for the third most.
And the staff blew it out of the water.
Oh my God, it was insane.
And they knew what was on the line. All of a sudden, they had hundreds of reviews coming in.
It was literally insane.
That's great.
Yeah, Heather's like, everybody met their goal, and they all were a part of this contest. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So you find the right incentive that works for your team, and that's
It works. So the way Danny, I saw your question there of like, do you include the maintenance team? The way Spacebug did it, they did it all the staff who worked at that store. So I guess in their case, if they had a maintenance team, it probably would include them. So it wasn't just that one store manager, it was for the whole store. So okay, my February contest was 14 reviews by the 14th. And they all killed it. Now no reviews are cut.
Oh, yeah, they got to keep it going. So we have
oh my gosh, you got to keep the carrot out there.
Yeah. On our personal marketing goals, every store has what we call a PMG, a personal marketing goals for that store. And it's scaled to that store, but every single store has a percent of reviews as a metric for each new lease. So for every 5 leases, I want at least 1 review left. So 20% of all leases should have, we should have for all of our leases, 20% reviews of that number.
I love that. That's such a cool benchmark. That's nice.
Mean, it's just another KPI to track, but if you can get reviews from 20% of your new leases, then you're doing pretty good. 1 in 5. It's not that hard of an ask.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Another thing that we do, another like morale building contest that we do with our managers is in the wintertime when everybody's in the doldrums and it's hard to be seen as a self-storage facility because you don't people aren't moving, they're not storing in the winter, nobody cares, like they move in the summer, right? So we do a Spirit of the Holidays contest where we encourage all of our managers to get as many lights out on the property as possible. Christmas lights, like string your fences, string your roof line, make trees out of the telephone pole with multiple strands coming down, like whatever you can do, get the blow ups, get as much Christmas decoration out there as possible. And the reason why is because for that 30 days of December, and through the end of December, the city, the county, whoever has the local ordinances, they can't say nothing to you about it. This is extra like curb appeal that they can't. I mean, it's decoration. So they truly, like in 89% of areas in the world, they're not going to say a thing because you're just decorating. But what you're doing is you're drawing awareness of your facility. You're lighting it up like Christmas, and people are going to notice that when they go by.
Cool.
Some of our facilities do it so well that people actually drive through the parking lot to look at all the things they have. It's just nice.
That's a great idea.
And we incentivize that with an award. At the end in January, we give an award. The managers take pictures of all their decorations and send it in. And at the corporate office, we pass it around and kind of vote on which ones we like. And we, give away an award to, I think it's $250, $150, and $100 to the store.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Frank says, don't give Sue any ideas.
Sue's got a lot of ideas already. Yeah. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. Right. Well, Stacie, thanks for sticking around after the show.
Sure.
That's awesome. And Danielle, thanks for all the comments and all the questions. Hopefully that gave you some good ideas on how to run the program. What you could do is you can do the 14 by the 14th, and then you can have the big bonus for any store who doubled their 14 by the 14th by the end of the month.
Yeah.
And
28th by the
so
28th. Yeah.
double it and pass it to the next guy is the
Yeah.
one way of doing it. So, but Stacie, thank you. You're freaking
You're
awesome.
welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Oh,
has
you
been
guys are
really
awesome. I
good.
love it.
Yeah.
This is fun. I enjoy it very, very much. Thank you for having me. I
Is
appreciate it.
definitely a highlight of my job for sure. Get to be front row to some of the smartest people in our industry.
Will we
Yeah.
see you in DC?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll
All
be there.
right.
It'll be fun. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Sweet.
Sounds
We'll see
great.
y'all there. All right, everyone. Have a good rest of your Thursday. Happy Leap Day, and we'll see y'all in March.
All
Bye,
right.
y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Take
Mahalo,
care.
Jenny. Bye.